Jim Beam Bourbon has a distinct peanut character to it. But can you replicate that peanut character in a different whiskey? We're gonna find out on today's whiskey experiment. Woo! What's up, whiskey nerds? Welcome back to the Whiskey Experiment, the channel all about bringing science and whiskey together to help improve your whiskey experience. My name is Jake, and today we're talking about Jim Beam. Now, we're not just talking about Jim Beam as a bourbon, we're talking about one distinct characteristic of Jim Beam, and that's nuttiness. Now, specifically, peanuttiness. Now, if you've had the experience of trying different distilleries' products, you come across some trends within each distillery, whether it's sort of a cherry note in Buffalo Trace or a banana note in some Brown-Forman products, or in the case of Jim Beam, peanuts. So it got me thinking, what if I wanted that peanut quality, but wanted it in a different whiskey? So today, that is what we are tasked with, to try to replicate this profile in a non-Jim Beam bourbon. Now, in order to really have a good comparison, we need to choose the Jim Beam whiskey that has the most peanut character. Now, in my experience, the one that really stands out here in terms of nuttiness is this Old Tub. Old Tub is a bottled in bond, unfiltered whiskey that Jim Beam has historically put out in distillery-only releases, but recently started putting in full-size bottles. And maybe they should have kept it as distillery-only because there's been a lot of backlash about this. However, for a $20 to $25 bottle, it ain't bad at all. But the thing it does have is nuts. Oh, it has them. It's gonna be hard to keep this clean. All these nut references. But it really does. It comes right off the bat, out of the gate, into the nose. It just is like, bam, there's some nuts in this glass. I've been doing this. And on the palate, it is straight up honey roasted peanuts, which gives me an idea. If we really want to replicate this, we're gonna need two things. We're gonna need a whiskey that can match up against this in terms of flavors other than peanuts. And we're gonna need something to provide that peanut flavor. So why don't I get some of these whiskeys out of here and bring in those two components. Let's get this whiskey experiment started. Now, in order to find a comparison for Old Tub, we need something about that same proof, about 100-ish proof. We need something at least 4 years old, but could be a little bit older, and something that packs the same kind of spicy character without some of the nuttiness that we find on the Old Tub. And for that, we're gonna use Wild Turkey 101. Now, Wild Turkey 101 is also a Kentucky straight bourbon whiskey. It is not from Jim Beam, it is from Wild Turkey. And it doesn't have that same type of nuttiness that you find on the Old Tub. Not to say that no Wild Turkey products have nuttiness, I've just found that this Wild Turkey 101 in particular does not have that nutty quality to it, which makes it, I think, a pretty good comparison. It still has some of the same sort of honey kind of characteristics to it with with that type of sweetness, but also with the cinnamon and some of those barrel notes, that barrel spice and the vanilla. And it just has a more spicy character to it. So when compared to the Old Tub, which has the nuttiness to it, the nuttiness is almost overpowering in this, which is what makes this interesting. I think adding something to the Wild Turkey will hopefully mellow it out just a little bit to dial it back so it matches up with this. So now that we have our whiskey as a control, we need something to add that peanut quality. So what better than to just add some peanuts? Now, of course, peanuts come in all sorts of varieties. You could just get raw peanuts, roasted peanuts, salted peanuts. But I'm gonna go with something a little bit different. Something I feel complements the whiskey a little bit better than salt or just raw peanuts would. And that is honey roasted peanuts. Honey roasted, you think, probably adds a little bit of sugar, and that's true, but I think the honey characteristics of these peanuts will actually go well with both of these whiskeys. And I think if there's one thing that the Wild Turkey doesn't have that the Old Tub does, other than peanuts, it's probably that honey characteristic. So I think adding honey roasted peanuts can actually balance them out just a little bit more. The tricky thing here is we are adding a solid to a liquid, which obviously is not going to mix very well, but maybe it will impart some of those flavors and get the peanut quality in the whiskey. I hate to adulterate this Wild Turkey in such a tragic way, but hey, this is for science. Now I'm just gonna pour a few of these peanuts out. Have no idea how many to use. I'm just going to literally dump these in here. Oh, that's a sight to see. Wow. This is weird. Now, obviously this looks kind of wrong, but adding peanuts to a beverage isn't too out of the norm. Actually, I'm here in the South, and a lot of folks down here add just regular roasted peanuts to a Coca-Cola or, you know, some other soft drink to try to give it some of that peanut characteristic. So it's not abnormal to do. However, adding it to whiskey is a whole nother ballgame. Now, of course, whiskey has a lot of alcohol in it. Alcohol is a solvent. Over time, it's gonna break down these peanuts. We're not gonna leave it in very long. In fact, I'm just gonna give it a swirl here, which, oh, chunky whiskey. That is weird. But I'm gonna give it a little sniff. Oh boy. I'll be honest, it kind of smells like dog food. Let me compare to the Old Tub. Yeah, I get peanuts there. Nope, dog food. I'm gonna give it a taste. Hopefully, I don't know what dog food tastes like. I've never had dog food. I don't really want to eat dog food. But I don't have very high hopes for this. Let's dig in anyway. Cheers. Oh, it's sweet and salty. That's weird. I don't get much of a peanut vibe though. I don't know if I need to let this sit a little bit longer, but it's not super peanutty. Oh, it just smells like dog food. Why does it smell like dog food? Oh, I hate that. Okay, I mean, you do get a little bit of the peanut now, but not in a good way. Don't do that. We'll wait. We're gonna set this aside and see if it maybe helps it out. It's, you know, in 10 minutes or so, but ooh, that is not a good thing. Oh, it makes Old Tub taste like Booker's though, in comparison. Okay, so that didn't work. That's the cool thing about an experiment. You have a hypothesis, you try to test it out, and this one failed hard. But like I said, we're gonna set it aside. I'm gonna put these peanuts over here. And yeah, hopefully, I don't even want to look at it. So I think the problem with the peanuts is that it's a solid substance into a liquid, which doesn't really mix very well. So we need to find a way to have sort of a more emulsified version of a peanut to put in the whiskey. So naturally, we have something to do that with. Peanut butter. As you might be able to tell, I am not looking forward to this because if you saw what I just did with that whiskey, it did not turn out very well. So I can't imagine adding peanut butter is going to help either. However, I will do it for science. Okay. What's the best way to do this? How do you mix peanut butter with whiskey? All right, let's add just a little bit. Just a little bit. Okay, we got just a little bit on here. Let's say goodbye to this delicious wild turkey. Yep, it's wild turkey. Okay. All right, that's okay. Just a little, oh God. Oh, it's bad. I mean, I can't really smell it. Ooh, it's starting to get murky though. Oh, and there's that dog food smell. But it's not as bad as the peanuts, I will say that. It's not as strong of a smell. In fact, it's getting a little bit closer to the old tub. Not real close, but closer. Oh, ooh. All right. The moment you've been waiting for. Cheers. I'm gonna be honest here. That's not that far off. Now the nose is terrible, but on the palate, it ain't bad. I don't think it's really mixed all that much. I'm gonna try to mix it a little bit more with the spoon. I mean, look at the color on that. It's just not something appetizing. It doesn't smell appetizing, but it doesn't taste bad. It tastes pretty peanutty. That's pretty interesting. Okay, it's not quite there. I think it adds a little bit of a peanut character, but it is not the type of peanut that is on Jim Beam Bourbon. I think there's one more thing we could probably try that'll give us the best shot at replicating this whiskey. I think we need something that's clear, that's not gonna look really gross, something that's not gonna smell like dog food, but we'll add a sort of peanutty quality to it. Before I get there, I'm gonna move this out of the way and say, if you are new to this channel, please go ahead and click the like button and subscribe, click the bell icon. You can get notified whenever we put out new videos, so you'll be the first to know when stuff like this happens, so you can see my reactions to all the horrendous things I'm going to put in my body, like this nonsense. You can find out first. How about that? All right, I need another glass. For our final experiment, America, I think we need to get a little bit away from the whiskey world, but not too far. We're gonna use a product that has been out on the market for a few years now, I think, and I think gives us our best shot. And that's Screwball. If you don't know what Screwball is, it is a quote unquote peanut butter whiskey. It says on the back, it contains peanuts, but it's also only 70 proof. I'm not sure how they legally call it whiskey. There's some kind of shenanigans going on there, whiskey with natural flavors. But if I'm conceptualizing this correctly, they are taking whiskey and adding peanut flavor to it, natural peanut flavor. So basically the same thing we're trying in these two disgusting, heinous glasses, they have done in a pure, hopefully, form. I think the key of adding this to replicate the old tub is gonna be just using a few drops, not very much, just enough to get the peanut quality into it. So with that said, let's add some Screwball to this turkey. Just a couple drops. and give it a swirl. We really want to mix this in. We're not trying to, bring anything in particular to the surface like you would with water. So it still kind of smells like wild turkey. Now wait a second. It doesn't smell like peanut butter, but I tell you what, that's pretty damn close. It's not perfect. I think it could use a little bit more, but that is pretty damn close. I'm gonna go back to the old tub now. Still more peanut on the old tub, okay. Go back to the wild turkey with a few drops. It's closer. All right, I'm gonna add just a couple more drops of this. I think that's probably all it needs, but we'll see here. All right, gonna give it a swirl. This is the wild turkey with the screwball, 4 drops now. Still hard to pick up peanut on the nose. You get it a little bit, but it's not like the old tub. Old tub, you pick it up right away. Wild turkey, it's kind of there. Let's just give it a taste. It's close. It's still closer on the peanut vibe, but something else is trickling in. And I think it's some sugar. You can taste that sweetness, and the sweetness kind of gives it more of a peanut butter vibe rather than peanuts. But it's close. I will say it's a lot closer. Go back to this. I don't mind that sweetness, but it could use a little bit more peanut. So I'm gonna add a little bit more of this. Give it a swirl. Let's see how it compares now. It's closer, but you can still tell it's not the same. The peanut characteristic is just different. The peanut characteristic on the old tub is more peanut, where the screwball is peanut butter. You would think they would be a little bit more similar, but they're a little off of each other. I think the peanut characteristic is a little bit closer now again, but the sweetness really kind of kills it. I say on its own, it actually isn't that bad. I think putting these two together, where clearly you have more wild turkey than you do screwball, I think adding a few drops of the screwball actually doesn't hurt. It's different, and I would probably still prefer the regular 101 unadulterated. However, it actually isn't bad. The peanut quality in this with the sweetness does actually taste pretty darn good. In fact, I almost say this may taste a little bit better than the old tub by itself. They are certainly very different vibes, and the old tub is not near as sweet as the wild turkey with the screwball added into it, obviously, but it actually, the old tub comes across a little tannic, a little bitter, and a little bit of astringency. I think that's part of the drawback on old tub, and something that a lot of people don't really like about it, other than the nuttiness, is that kind of astringent quality to it. It seems a little bit too harsh, a little too rough around the edges, whereas Wild Turkey 101 is a much more refined bourbon overall, a lot more nuanced and a lot more, it's a lot more crafted of a product, I think. But even with that, adding the screwball to it kind of softens those edges even more. It sweetens it a little bit, adds a little bit of a peanut vibe to it, and I think it creates a better drink overall than the old tub does. I hate to say that, but honestly, I could probably drink more of this than I could the old tub by itself. It's just kind of, the old tub is interesting. It's got its peanut quality, but overall, this is pretty darn good. This on its own, this screwball, it's intense. It has its market. I'm not knocking the product by itself. There's certainly people that love this, that are not necessarily neat whiskey drinkers. They really love using this in certain cocktails and, even on the rocks or by itself. It's tasty. It does have a lot of sugar. However, if used in a small dosage in a good quality bourbon like Wild Turkey 101, I think it complements it in a good way, and something that is different, and something that if you are looking for that Jim Beam nuttiness in a different bourbon, you may not get the same nutty quality, but you'll get the same vibe by adding a little peanuttiness to your bourbon with a little screwball. So with that said, I think that about wraps it up for this whiskey experiment. I mean, if you like this content, definitely click the like button, first of all. But if you have a different idea, if you have a different peanut butter or peanut whiskey that you think might fit better, leave a comment down below and let me know. I don't have a lot of experience with peanut butter whiskeys or different things of this nature. I'm obviously more of a straight whiskey guy, but hey, I want to experiment with whatever I can. So if there's a better option, please let me know down below. And like I said before, if you're new to this channel, click subscribe. This is just our 4th video. Very exciting times. We're just getting started. This is not the easiest thing in the world, of course, but I am trying my best. We're trying to crank out videos as often as we can, and I hope you're enjoying this. If you are, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for watching this far into the video. And if you're interested in any previous videos that you haven't seen already, maybe this is the first one you're watching, there's some links right here on either side of my head. There should be. So click on any of those. They're all previous videos, and hopefully something like this that you're gonna like. And so hopefully I'll see you over there. Either way, thank you so much for stopping by. And as I always say, never stop experimenting. We'll see you next time. Cheers.